Hidely ho, my good buddies. What do we got today? We've got the Beyerdynamic T5p. This is one of their flagship models. This is their flagship closed model. This is original Gen 1. So I think they're on generation 3 now, but the Gen 1s had a fixed cable. And we're going to convert this to a detachable cable, but we're going to do it in the most awkward and difficult way possible. It's going to require fabrication and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's a big old job. What we're going to do is we're going to convert this from a double-sided fixed cable to a single-sided detachable cable. Sounds relatively easy, you'd say, but these were never designed to have a single-sided cable. So what we're going to have to do, obviously we're going to have to seal up one of the holes. That's not too bad. We're going to 3D print a part. I might go through the design process for that. We're going to 3D print a part which is going to bung up that nicely. Then we're going to have to drill holes in the top of the ear cup. We have to get those in the right places so that a wire can come out of one ear cup, go up through the headband and down to the other. We're also then going to have to drill a hole in the shoulder of this to take the wire from the ear cup into there. The headband, again, I'm hoping I can figure out how to get the wire through the headband. Worst case scenario, we might have to replace the padding on the top here. But yeah, I'm hoping that I can basically poke a bit of wire through, like coat hanger wire, make a little hook the wire back through, like you'd do if you were running cables through a car or something like that. But before we do any of that, obviously we've got to pull these apart. So we'll do a two-part. First part, we will pull these apart. We'll have a look at some of the design features in here, how they differ from some of the other Beyerdynamic model. And then the second part will be modifying and designing the replacement parts that we're going to need for this. And then finally kind of put them all back together. I'm not entirely sure why I'm shooting this video, because it's not something we're probably going to do again. You know, it's just a one-off, just an interesting job, and it's definitely going to probably be too difficult to make it worthwhile DIY project. What we will learn from this is how to fit a detachable cable on a Beyerdynamic T5p or original T1, because I've done that quite a few times. Basically you can just drill out a hole, stick in a socket, happy days. But yeah, doing it single-sided is going to be a whole extra chunk of work. Okay, so all I've done there is I've removed the screws from the yoke, the little caps on the end of the yoke. They're T6 screws, and then that will release the ear cup. As you can see on the T5Ps, they've laser cut T5P into them and lightened them up slightly. I think it looks better like that. I know it's an extra manufacturing process to laser it out, and in some ways you've weakened it, and the amount of lightening that you're doing is probably minimal, but it does look cool. I like the yokes on these. I think they should probably just do these little laser cut jobbies out of their cheaper models as well. I'm sure when you're actually, you know, during the manufacturing process, it probably doesn't cost that much more to cut this section out if you're cutting the rest of it out. I don't know if it's laser cut or if it's die cut or what, but don't know. That seems like quite a lot of detail to die cut, so it might be laser cut or flow jetted or something like that. I don't know. Might be. I don't think they'll tell me. Right, so that's the headband removed. These are the ear cups. Just going to pop these back on so I don't lose the screws. It's interesting, when you pop those on, they pop on much smoother than they do on the DT770 and 990, because I think someone's gone round and taken off the burr from around the edge of these. So whoever makes the yokes for these ones puts just that extra little bit of love in. Yeah, they're a little bit smooth around the edges. The other ones have got a little bit of burr on. So yes, they've obviously bead blasted them, or someone's gone over it with a hand tool just to take the edge off. Right, so these are back on. I'm wondering what to do next. Do I try and take the shoulders off the headband? So I'm going to have to get into that at some point. Yeah, so next we're going to try and remove these sections. Now I know from experience that just under here there are 2 clips that you have to depress. You have to get something up flush with this surface and then press down, and that should release the central core which is holding all this together. So that is a top tip, because I think I had to pretty much destroy a pair initially just to figure out how to get them apart. There we go, so now that's released them. God, that's amazing. Doing that just by sense of smell. So you can't see anything. Okay, there we go. So that's that off. So here's our challenge. So you've got a gap in here, which you've got to get a wire through. So there's definitely room for a wire to go in there, but you won't be able to poke a wire all the way around because it'll just kind of bunch up inside. So I'm hoping a stiffer bit of wire or plastic, some kind of plastic tool, with a bit of flex to it, I can get up and round, hook a wire, and pull it back through. That's the plan. Well, that is what's going to happen. I'm not going to accept failure on this. I'm going to get the wire through the hole somehow. Is this one going to go as well? Oh, no, this one not so good. There we go. Hey, oh man, I'm nailing this. This is going very well so far. Alright, so that's that. So now we have the headband part. So that's so here's the parts we're going to have to modify. I'm just going to remove the clip from there. So the plan is going to be to kind of drill out a hole there for the wire to go through and up into the headband. Got to get the actual. So the first stage is to get a piece of wire through here and then probably poke it through and then down into the ear cups. But that's going to be the first part to do. So it's going to be the hardest. It's always best doing the hardest bits first, because with ear cups and stuff attached, it's going to make it even harder. So while that piece is separate, that's going to be good. Right, so I'm just going to move these bits out of the way. Now this is the bit you've probably all been waiting for. I know, just teasing you with doing the headband first. Let's see these sexy drivers. Okay, so these are the first Tesla drivers, I think, the first Tesla-based headphones that Beyerdynamic did. Just going to remove the pads. Now then, these pads are really expensive. They're the most expensive pads of any Beyerdynamic headphones. They're like a memory foam, but yeah, you can fit lots of other pads from the Beyerdynamic range because they're all pretty much the same size. But these particular memory foam ones, I don't know if it's still the case, but I remember back in the day we were trying to get a replacement set, and it was £130 from Beyerdynamic, whereas normally, you know, we'll pay £15 or £20 for a set of pads. So yeah, very expensive, and I think it's just that they were made in such low volumes. They didn't make many of this headphone, and it's made of a different material than all the other pads, so it was relatively low volume. So inside here, as you can see, the driver is angled slightly, so that helps with sound stage. So it sounds more like it's coming from speakers. You know, it's coming at your ears in a more appropriate direction than straight on from the side. It does definitely help a bit. And then you've got some kind of acoustic silk over that, and also over here to manage the airflow in and out, and also stop dust from getting into the driver. Before I open this up, well, I'm going to start opening this up as I go through it. The Tesla drivers are so named because they can generate 1 Tesla of magnetic flux next to the voice coil, which is a lot of magnetism. So working on these can be tricky because any tools with a ferrous material such as screwdrivers or soldering irons will get sucked into that driver. These aren't too bad, but certainly some of the Tesla drivers are a bit smaller, and it is actually quite difficult to hold the soldering iron near them because basically the magnet tries to suck them in, especially on our soldering irons, which are temperature controlled, so they'll pulse on and off, and those electrical pulses make the soldering iron move in your hand next to the magnet. It's pretty mad. So all I've done there is I've removed the retaining ring, and there's a little rubber seal in there which has now released the driver, and I should be able to pop that out. He says, oh, there we go. There we go. So that's the actual driver. Now that is a sexy bit of kit. Look at that. That's a lot of metal. So if you've had a look at any of the stuff we do, a lot of the modifications we do to headphones is we add just a big old chunk of metal to the back of it, which gives it more weight, gives it something to push against. So yeah, that kind of modification would not be necessary on these. This is quite a heavy, chunky bit of metal. You can see some nice machining work on this, so you can see that's all machined. Now then, as you can see, the back of the driver is open, and so is all of this. So there is a potential for getting stuff in there. So you want to be very careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the wire, and then we're going to bag this up so that no debris can get in there. So I'm just going to turn the soldering iron temperature down a bit. We normally solder at sort of 400 or something. I'm going to take it down to 350. Because that's the kind, because Beyerdynamic use a lower temperature solder than we do, and just giving these the maximum respect. So I'm just going to get myself a couple of little plastic bags to put them in. So I've got a couple of Ziploc bags here. So on the back here, you've got a little circuit board that says T5p. The T1s say T1 on them. And you've got two contacts here, which connect to the cable, and the other two contacts go to the voice coil. So obviously, it's good on these because they've got quite a decent gap between them. So as I said, the soldering iron may get dragged in towards the magnet. But yeah, just avoid this area like the plague, because again, the drivers are expensive. I don't think that, I can't remember. I think the drivers are about 180, 200 pounds. Each, so not crazy money, depending on your opinion, but because it's £1,000 pair of headphones. But yeah, obviously you don't want to break them, because when you replace them, really you need to replace them in pairs, so you've got a matched pair. So yeah, you're probably looking at £400 to replace both drivers. Okay, I'm just going to apply a little bit of tension to the wire, so that when the solder melts, it'll come away. Okay, that's one. That's the other. Okay, I've got a little bit of solder stuck to the plastic there. Just remove that. Okay, so here's the actual driver, the business end. So as you can see, one of the tracks here is marked with pen. That's the positive, and it can be different on different drivers. This is made of ABS, as you can see. Crazy powerful magnet. I think it's arranged, so you've got a very powerful magnet, but it's arranged in such a way that there's a gap which the magnetic flux travels through, which is right by the voice coil where all the magnetism is concentrated. So even though this is a very powerful magnet, actually where the voice coil is, that's increased drastically. Let's just yeah, that's a serious magnetic flux there. Okay, so I'm going to bag that up before I get too carried away with throwing stuff at the magnet. Okay, so that's put to one side. And we're going to do the same on the other one. So to get the retaining ring off, I'm going to jam a screwdriver in there and just lever slightly. And on here's a rubber grommet which will try and come away. Just keep that together with it. Tapper tapper. Oh, I've turned the soldering iron off like an idiot. Right, let's turn that back on. Okay, and then this is out. And then again, just wait for the soldering iron to heat up again. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to pop that on there. I'm just going to give it a fresh solder. Not quite hot enough. There we go. Hot. Yeah, so just be careful. Respect it if you're doing this. Don't overheat it. If you have to, if it doesn't desolder straight away, just let it cool down and try again. So we've had a couple of these in where people have tried to do it themselves, and they've managed to lift the tracks off the little circuit board there, and we can fix it, but it's, you know, it's a risky job, so it's best just to avoid that. So I've just got some little flecks of solder that have just gone in there. Right, so that's the other driver. Let's bag that badger up before I ruin it. And again, when you're putting these away, because of the very powerful magnets on there, they're going to try and hump each other. So you might have to separate the two. If you put one on top of the other, they're gonna you might damage something. Okay, so we're in. Let's have a look at the inside of the ear cup. So again, you've got a few interesting features. So you've got these ridges all around the outside. I don't know whether that's for strengthening or for breaking up reflections in here. So you've got a domed inner surface, which again is going to stop sound from bouncing directly off the back and back through the driver. In the side here you have a large hole. So these are closed, but you've got a big bass port there, which is used for tuning. So if you find that you've got too much bass on these, you could reduce that hole down by sticking something over it with a smaller hole in it, and that would give you a bit less bass. The cable itself goes through here. It's got a little brass doohickey on there. Let's just pull that out. There we go. So there you can see. So it's got a little brass crimp on there that stops it from being pulled back through. These cables on the T5p are quite thin, and we've seen a lot of these that have broken, just kind of worn out. But these are quite old headphones, so you know it might wear out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip the end off. We're not going to be reusing this cable, I don't think. But yes, we don't have to worry too much. But I'm just going to pull that through, snip it just below the grommet, pull that through, and then we're going to take these grommets out. So to do that, I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver, and I'm just going to push the edges back through the hole. Okay, and I should be able to grab hold of it and pull that through, hopefully. There we go, so that's that released. And rinse and repeat. So these ear cups, because of the way the driver angles, they don't want to have to produce two drivers, like a left and a right. So what they do is they have a key at the top on one ear cup and at the bottom on the other, so the driver goes the other way up, depending on which ear cup you got. So they've ended up having to make two ear cups with different notches, but that has meant that they can then just make one driver. So yeah, probably cost-wise, it's cheaper to do it this way. So I suspect those drivers are very difficult and expensive to manufacture. So having to make two different versions might be tricky. I don't know. But yeah, that's the decision they've made anyway. They're going to make one driver, different ear cups. Looking inside, you see these little lumps here. They are where this engages. So this is actually metal, this part, and it's got little tines that go down into here. And I suspect it's glued in. I haven't actually popped that out of one of these, but it's because I don't need to, and I don't want to have to ruin it. These ear cups, have they got any markings inside? No, it doesn't say what they're made of. Probably ABS or some kind of nylon, and then it's got a rubber over molding to give them a rubbery surface. So anyway, that's phase one. We've got those dismantled. Next I need to get on the computer and design a little something to go in this hole. So I need to measure that up carefully, and I'm going to stick some kind of bung in there which is going to bung that up. Then I need to make some kind of jig so that we can drill a hole nicely in the top here. I need to do a bit of measuring to make sure we don't interfere with the driver when it's shut. And then I suspect the tricky bit is going to be getting the wire through the headband, as I said. So leave it with me. I'm going to hop on the computer now and whip up some kind of 3D printed part to do that. Wish me luck. Well, my homies, a week has passed since the beginning of this video, and it's been a bit crazy here in the workshop. My assistant had to be isolated because they got in contact with someone who ended up having COVID. Luckily they were okay, but I've had to do my own work. What's all that about? So like, big thanks to the team, because we were a man down and it's like super busy. So they've all been really good, but I haven't been able to shoot any more videos because I've been having to help. And also, getting the cable through the headband, took me a long time to figure out how I was going to do that. So let me just, what I'm doing is I'm just making the actual headband cable. So I've got some of our Litz wire, and I've made it into a twisted pair just to go through here. You might as well, I'm not sure over what shorter length making it a twisted pair makes a difference, but it looks pretty. Look at that. Ooh, love that silk covering. Alright, so I've just popped that in some paracord. Now, this is what I'm going to use to get it through the headband. I hope. We will see how it goes. Prepare for swearing, prepare for cuts as I battle with it, but we'll see. So the plan is, this is a sheet of mylar which I've cut into roughly the right shape. The hope is I can poke that through there, attach the wire, might have to ambiguate that hole slightly, attach the wire to that, and then put it through. This is spring steel, so I'm hoping I can just kind of straighten it a little bit if I need to. So let's get that posted in there. So anyway, as I said, pretty mad week. It's been very strange, this whole COVID thing, because initially when it happened I'm like, oh snap, loads of people are going to be out of work, everyone's going to stop spending money, but for some reason everyone's stuck at home. They've decided what they need is headphones. And not just normal headphones, they need special one-off, never seen before headphones. And I suppose if you're in the, there's not many places in the world that do that. So we've been incredibly busy. I think we've nearly, this past year, like obviously the COVID thing is nearly over now, or so we're led to believe. Is this all going horribly wrong? I don't know. But yeah, over the last year, I think we've sold nearly twice as much as we did the year before. And because of COVID, we couldn't really have extra staff in, because you don't want to, get more people in contact with each other. So everybody has been putting in extra hours and working extra hard. So obviously, big thanks to my team. They is awesome. I've been working 7 days a week for the past year. And at the moment, I don't know. All the money seems to disappear. I bought loads of cool equipment for the workshop and stuff. I haven't actually bought myself any toys. but we are planning possibly on doing some cool stuff this year with some of the money that we've made. So, you know, I don't need anything. I've got stuff. Who needs stuff? Life's all about experiences, so we're going to go and do some cool stuff. We might make some cool stuff. I don't know if you've got any suggestions for cool stuff. Let us know. But yeah, we're going to go. I think as a team, we're going to go and do a day drifting because we're all quite into cars. So we're going to go and probably have a day scooting around a car park in some fast Japanese wagons. Yeah, we've got a cool. Fixed my UV printer. It's like 5 gram printer, but it's very, very cool. And we're possibly going to buy some kind of fancy new 3D printer, which will allow us to rapid prototype some more stuff, which will make some of our upcoming projects a bit easier. Obviously, on this channel, we're mainly doing headphone stuff, but if I run out of headphones to do, you might get to see some of the other secret stuff we're up to. Okay, so there we go. We have a wire through a headband. Did you see that? Did you see that? Genius. I've been struggling with this for so long. I bought a special tool, like a pokey tool for getting wires through. It wasn't flexible enough or thin enough, but this, just a bit of mylar, cut to the right shape. Did it. Right, let's bang on the desk. Woo, banging on the desk, woo! So, yeah, the microphone's not even attached to the desk anymore, so that's not even going to annoy you. Well, I'll find some other way. Don't you worry your pretty little faces. Right, okay, I'm going to get the other bits, and we'll start assembling this thing. Okay, so we have one ear cup. 2 ear cups. You know how it is when you put a project away for a week in a box, and when you put it away, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just jam it all in there, that'll be fine. And now I've got to actually make it. They're all mixed up. Right, so as you can see here, I don't know if I went over this last week, but I 3D printed a part to bung up the hole. That was actually relatively difficult to CAD up because, as you can see, you've got a bit of sort of curvature in both directions, and then it also had to be exactly the right radius on the old fillets and stuff around there. So it took a little bit of backwards and forwards. I think I only did 2 prototypes before I got it nailed. But yeah, that you know, it's not perfect. It's not 100% flush, but to be honest, it's underneath the ear cup, and it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I've stuck that in there, hot glue in there, so that it's sealed, so it doesn't affect the dimensions of the chamber in there. Okay, so this is going to be our left ear cup. We're going to dremel out a hole in here so that we can put in a 4-pin mini XLR. We're then going to have to drill a hole here for the headband cable, and then a matching hole on the other one, and we've got to get it lined up. So I reckon a bit of tape across here with them lined up, and then we'll drill away. Alright, so blah 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 blah. Cut to some music. Boop. So it turns out aluminium. These are made of aluminium, not plastic. Who would have known? And they get really, really, really hot when you try and Dremel them. That's super hard. So I'm going to let that cool down, and then I'm going to just like take off the burr and shit. Okay, so now we have some very expensive bits that I've cut holes out of. What a job, eh? What a thing to do for a living. Take people's expensive things and cut holes in them. This one needs a bit more.
With Robin Leach and a far from cheap. I smoke dope with my peace all day. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. The Low West and Alizé keep me pissy. Girls used to diss me, now they write letters cause they miss me. I never thought it could happen, this rapping stuff. I was too used to packing gas and stuff. Now honey's plain toast like butter plate toast. From the Mississippi down to the East Coast. Condos and Queens, in dope for weeks. Sold out seats to hear Biggie Small speak. Living life without fear. Putting 5 carats in my baby girl ear. Lunches, brunches, interviews by the pool. Considered a fool cause I dropped out of high school. Stereotypes of a black male misunderstood. And it's still all good. And if you don't know, now you know.
Just trying to take off any sharp edges that are on there. And then we'll spray these black again just to so you haven't got the shiny metal showing through. But yeah, that's going to be on the inside anyway, so you're not going to see that. I'm just making a groove for the cable to go through. So I think we are ready for the next stage. Okie dokie. So what I did was drill holes in there to take the headband cable, drilled a bigger hole in there and tapped it with a thread so we can screw in our mini XLR. Now we're going to have to reassemble it, and I have got some new shoulder pieces here.
With the chauffeur, phone bill about 2 G's flat. No need to worry, my accountant handles that. And my whole crew is lounging, celebrating every day, no more public housing. Thinking back on my one-room shack, now my mom puts an act with Meeks on her back. And she loved to show me off, of course. Smiles every time my face is up in the sauce. We used to fuss when the landlord dissed us. No heat, wonder why Christmas missed us. Birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we thirsty. Damn right, I like the life I live. Cause I went from negative to positive and it's all. And if you don't know, now you know.
Okay, so now we're in. So now I need to solder all the wires in. Okay, so leave it there. I'm going to make a little, I'm going to make the socket and then we'll carry on videoing. Well, you know, like when you forget to press record on the camera when you're finishing the operation. Oh well, there you go. Then you've missed a lot of boring stuff. I was just soldering the drivers back in. It was pretty much the reverse of what I did. But there we go. So that, other than a bit of cleaning up and touch-ups here and there, that is it. We've got some Generation 1 T5ps with a single-sided detachable cable, capable of taking a balance connection. It's a lot of modification to get to this stage, but there you go. That's a vaguely interesting operation. So if you got any questions, stick them in the thing. It'd be really nice if you could just hit the subscribe button. I don't think it really makes any difference to your viewing what's it, but it gives me couple of points on the YouTube Scoretron, so that makes me happy. Also, leave a message. Cool. All right. Loving your work. Bye.